Hey everybody, welcome back. I've had the good fortune over the past, 5 or 6 days now to have access to this aircraft, the PMDG 777-200ER for Microsoft Flight Simulator. And I wanted to give you kind of an overall rundown of my thoughts on the airplane. Done about 6 flights in the plane, totaling somewhere around 20 hours, and I do have some experience with the 300ER and the freighter version that were released for 2020. In particular, I liked the freighter version because it kind of gave you access to some different routes that you didn't normally fly or wouldn't really come into consideration for me. And so I really enjoyed the freighter for that particular reason, but they were both very nice airplanes, very well modeled, they handled very well, the systems were wonderful, everything you expect from a PMDG, and I enjoyed both of those airplanes thoroughly. This airplane is a different level. It's very kind of interesting because I can't really put my finger on it. The systems are great. The EFB, we can hop into the cockpit here real quick, has been updated with a couple things, the weight and balance. You can get directly from SimBrief now, which is really nice. One of the things I enjoy about the plane, kind of having a busy schedule myself and not as much time as I would really like to have to be able to fly, is that you can get into the airplane and get it set up in about 10 minutes. I mean, I've done it with my turnaround setting that I've set up here, the turnaround state, and I'm basically on ground power with the APU off and the airplane ready to be loaded, the FMC and all the data and information, do like the entry of the departure and the arrival and everything in the FMC, and get the plane ready to go and head out. So it's quick to get set up and going. So that's one thing that's very important to me, and I really like it about this airplane. But one of the things that really stands out to me is the flight experience. I do believe it has something to do with the fact that the 200ER is available, at least in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, and that's what I flew it in. And I would like to be specific on this point that PMDG have said that the handling and the flight experience in 2020 will be the same as it is in 2024. So don't expect like a better flight experience per se in Flight Sim 24. The difference being to me is that the turbulence, the flight model and such in Flight Sim 2024 is so much better than it is in Flight Sim 2020 that I think it almost can't help but be a better flying experience. And I'm talking hand flying the airplane, managing energy on descent and arrival in particular. And I guess that's the point that I'd really like to get to. So I've done a couple flights in the plane. I've done Dallas to Miami. I did Miami to St. Martin. I did Paris, which is where I am right now, to Stockholm, Sweden yesterday. And the flight from Paris to Stockholm, I can honestly say, was the most enjoyable flight sim experience that I've ever had. Departure was fine, was great. The in-route experience was good. Enjoyed the scenery because I've never really flown over that part of the world. Flew over top of Denmark, which was really neat to see. And there was a Sweden event, a Stockholm event on VATSIM. And so I was flying down into Stockholm. I got to top of descent, and even though I had filed my arrival, my standard terminal arrival route, it was changed on me right at top of descent, which was, nerve-wracking because not only am I flying the airplane, but I'm also flying it live online, and I'm, obviously doing my best to show, the best foot forward for the airplane for PMDG. And I was able to reconfigure the star and subsequently the approach in the FMC very nicely, very easily. It's a little harried, doing all this single pilot, also managing radios and I had approach, I had tower, I had ground, I had center. So, there was a lot to do with radios, and I'm, interacting with viewers at the same time, and got everything set up in terms of the arrival and the approach. I had missed my top of descent because, having to reconfigure right at top of descent kind of pushed me a little past it. I was able to get the airplane back down on the correct glide path down to the initial approach fix. And it was a really kind of an interesting approach, and I'll show it to you here real quick. It was this approach here, the ILS 26 into Stockholm, and I was basically being vectored right towards this VOR, the Arlanda VOR, which is one of the initial approach fixes, and you get sent on the outbound to do the procedure turn and then come back in. I was kind of worried that was going to happen, and I didn't have that waypoint in particular in the FMC because I assumed I was going to get vectors to final. As I was coming towards the VOR, at some point I asked the controller, are you, I keyed him up and said, are you going to send me to Arlanda outbound for the procedure turn? And that was kind of my way of cueing him into the fact that I really didn't want to do that, and wound up getting vectors to the right downwind, base, and final. Approach and landing was really nice, and I think that's another point to bring up with this airplane, is that the actual handling characteristics of the airplane are absolutely amazing. I've done about 6 landings now in the plane. 5 of them, or let's say 4 of them, were very good. 1 of them could have been better, more or less just from being off center line. But the last 3 in succession, you really start to get a feel for how the plane handles, and it's because it is so consistent in the flight model and in the handling. And in this particular landing in Stockholm, I really dropped it on nicely. It was a minus 92 feet per minute on the landing, which for me, I mean, I don't try to grease jets on, but I was particularly happy with that landing, particularly because the one prior to it was not that good. But regarding the flight model and the way the airplane handles, it is so consistent, it is so predictable, and you're able to get the airplane to do what you want it to do. It does what you expect it to do. I guess I can summarize it in this point. Like, I'm generally hesitant to kick off autopilot, say on a 5 or a 10 mile final with a 737 or an Airbus or something like that, and hand fly it all the way down. With this airplane, I would have absolutely no problem doing that. I haven't done it yet because I'm still, building up my experience with it and getting a feel for it. But I'm quite confident that I could easily kick it off at 10 miles now and fly a consistent glide path down and make a nice landing. And look, I'm not a type-rated jet pilot. I fly Piper Cherokees and Cessna 150s and things like that. And yes, the skill set does translate to an extent, but it is a much different experience. This airplane just handles so incredibly well, unlike anything I've ever flown, to be honest. And I think that's the point that I would really make, is that it's really the finer points, because the previous versions, the 300 and the Freighter, are phenomenal airplanes. We know PMDG, we know what they do, we know the level they're at. There is an it factor with this airplane to me. There's just something about this plane and the way it handles, and it feels like being home. If you're used to flying Boeings, it's just so easy to assimilate, so easy to get a feel for, and so easy to feel comfortable with. And mind you, this is obviously a crewed airplane. This is a, airplane that's built to be flown by 2 pilots, 2 professional pilots, 2 pilots with a lot more experience and knowledge and skill that I have. And the experience that I had going into Stockholm yesterday, getting down into, having to rearrange everything, reset everything up at the last minute, live online, and being able to do that pretty much without any issue at all was really just, it was such a satisfying experience as a sim pilot. And so I recommend this airplane to you guys unreservedly. This is an absolutely brilliant airplane. I have thoroughly enjoyed flying it. There's really no question that I'm going to continue to fly this plane and put a lot of hours on it in Flight Sim 24. And that's the kind of the next and last point I'll make, is that there really aren't any, at least extremely reliable, third-party, high-quality add-on jets for Flight Sim 24 at this point. This airplane is 2024 native. It is absolutely magnificent. This sets the bar. I do not hold out an expectation to find a better airplane for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. PMDG may top themselves with the 300ER or the Freighter or both. And I get the feeling from reading a lot of things online that a lot of people think this airplane's kind of the stepchild. You know, it's not the one that people maybe are, you know, the most excited about or the most looking forward to. This airplane is absolutely magnificent. And to me, once this plane comes out, either tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, we'll see, and Sim Update 2 Beta comes out, when that's officially released, and we all have access to this airplane, and we have access to, you know, the huge performance gains in Sim Update 2, there is no going back for me. Flight Sim 24 is where it's at. The 777 is a very versatile airplane. You can fly, you know, long, short, medium haul, as I did the last couple days. I've yet to do a truly long haul flight with it. About 3 hours is the furthest I've gone. But it's a very versatile airplane, and I just think you guys are gonna absolutely love it. I literally can't recommend it enough. It is that good. And I'd like to thank once again PMDG, Robert and the team, and Matisse and everybody at PMDG for giving me this wonderful opportunity to preview this plane and experience it. And the fact that I was given this opportunity does not color what I'm telling you right now. This airplane is the best flight simulation experience I have ever had in any flight sim, any aircraft. This airplane is tops, in my opinion. It's coming soon. When it is available, get it. Don't think twice. It is absolutely amazing. You guys are gonna love this airplane. And anything you guys want to know, anything you'd like to ask or maybe mention in the comments, please go ahead and do so. And I look forward to this coming out and for everybody to get the opportunity that I've had to enjoy this plane. You're gonna love it. So thanks for listening. Hope everybody's doing well, and we'll talk soon.